Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to the Adventures Travel Club television show. We are in Greece, as you can see, and we are on a ship because we're going to go visit some of the Greek islands, and I'll tell you, this is just a real highlight of a trip to Greece. If you've been to Greece before and you haven't done the islands, well, shame on you, huh,
Well,
Betty?
yeah, but everybody doesn't do the islands. Now, the first time when I was here, and I didn't do any of the islands, and then I came back again, and we did 3 of them, I believe. But I think, of course, the Mykonos was the one that always intrigued me, and Santorini.
Oh, yeah.
And because you see especially the pictures of Mykonos.
Right.
The white.
Yeah, and that's very nice. Unfortunately, however, and it happened on this cruise and the one that we did before, by the time that you leave here outside of Athens and get into Mykonos, the sun's going down. So you get to Mykonos actually in the evening time. I mean, which is okay.
Which is
it's all right,
But you still see it.
Oh, sure you do.
And it's lit up, and it's white. But these ships, and the other ship that we were on was not as classic as this one. This was just an absolute super.
But you better qualify that though too. I mean, these are smaller ships. Now, if people have taken cruises, Mediterranean cruises, cruises down to Mexico or whatever, you're on a very big, luxurious ship, and they're really big. Now, these are smaller ships, but you know what I enjoyed on this one? We were there at the end of the season, so the ship was only half full, which was really great. Which meant that you had
long food lines didn't exist.
No, and you had more crew to wait on you. And there's Father Pat making sure that we get out of the harbor, okay?
But then I loved it probably because they gave me the best cabin on the ship.
Oh, you had a good one, all right. Yes, indeed, you did.
Actually, it was
have a cabin. You had a suite.
A suite. It was. Oh, how sweet it was.
How sweet it was.
I never was treated so well before on that particular cruise.
That's really nice.
It was nice.
That's really nice. It is.
And you don't get seasick because it's not that rough.
No,
you don't even have to worry about it. Yes.
No, it's nice. And here we're going now out of the harbor, and we will get out into the sea. But there are, as we mentioned before, there are so many ships that are in the harbor because this is a very, very big business, and this is one that, of course, is the main thing of transportation. Of course, going to the islands, and I guess it always will be that way. Hopefully, it's a leisurely way to travel, a nice way to travel, and you can take your time, and you could fly from island to island, I suspect, if you wanted to do that.
I don't know whether they're...
But this is more fun. And now we're going to do a little dancing lessons, and some of our folks wanted to get and do so. We have a couple of dancers that were on our trip, and Linda and Joan were there, and it was just.
That's Marv's sister back there with the gray jersey on.
Oh my goodness!
And she's into this line dancing. I'll tell you, it was fun.
Yeah. So it just lots and lots of fun, and there were all sorts of dances that they were doing on the ship. First, they were doing Greek dances, and then another one of the crew came on, and they were doing more South American types of dances, and everybody was having a good time with this.
Wonderful way to spend the time, because you don't want to just sit in a. Well, you could too, but even for the people that didn't dance, it was entertainment.
Oh yeah.
Just to watch them and laugh at them.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Anyway, Carol and Joan were having a real good time doing this. It was fun. And there's one of the crew members, and he was giving that look at him.
Now hear this. Boy, this is the one where they were really jiving. Yeah.
But there are a lot of things to do, of course, on the ship. But one of the things I just like to do is go out and watch the water and see the islands that you're going past, because there are so many islands out here. It's really, really quite beautiful. But anyway, they're really having a good time doing the dance. I'm surprised you didn't get out there, Betty.
Well, I had a problem with my leg at that particular time, and I couldn't get up and bounce around like I would. Yeah, that's the only reason. Yeah, and I sit there and I itch because I want to get up there and do it. But, the spirit is willing, but the body is weak or whatever, right.
Yeah.
So, because I would have been right up there in the front row.
Well, look at Monsignor Pat's out there, too, trying to cut a rug, as it were,
Yeah,
along with
you
some of
know,
our other folks.
We just love Father Pat so much, and he was telling me that when he was, he has an identical twin, and his mother gave them ballet lessons when they were like
Really?
5 years old. They did ballet, they did tap, they did all sorts of dancing.
So this comes as second nature to him.
Yes,
then.
it does, as well as his musical ability.
Oh, that's
so
wonderful.
He enjoyed it. He just thinks that was great.
Well, I think it's good. It's good exercise too. And the nice thing is you can dance on this ship because the water isn't rough, as you said before, Betty. Sometimes, boy, I remember a couple of times I've been on ships when, whoo, my goodness sakes, you just could
hang on to the sides.
That's it, yeah. Anyway, okay, here we go. Yeah. We're heading toward Mykonos right now, so we're going to take a look, as we say, not
Mykonos.
Yeah, there we are. And you know what?
But it wasn't dark.
Well, it will be pretty soon by the time we get off. And they have another place now, another port here, which is a little ways away from the city itself. Boy, wouldn't you like to have that little yacht?
That's not a sailboat, though. You are into the sailboats.
I know, but listen.
You mean you'd settle for that?
If I could afford one of those, yeah, what's only $5, $6, $7, $8 million, something like that. I mean, they're just.
But you don't get the fun of the sailing.
Who cares?
I mean, you're inside a cabin.
Who cares? You have all the luxury there. Oh, my goodness sakes alive. You can always take a little dinghy along with you. Anyway, here it is. By the time we finally got...
Are you talking about a person or a boat when take a little dinghy along with you? Dinghy person.
And there, one of the windmills
there's
there, of course. That, of course, is what you think about when you go to
Look how
Mykonos.
quick it got dark.
It did. It
you
got
see,
dark
I knew.
fast.
I remember
when the sun goes down, bingo, there you are.
It's gone, isn't it?
A little chapel
but
up
it's
there.
A good thing everything is so white because the whiteness is still outstanding.
The white and the blue,
yeah.
I think, are what's so pretty.
Yeah.
And of course, which you see all throughout.
Oh, it's an exciting little island. It truly is an exciting little island.
And a lot of people go there for vacations to spend a lot of time there, because you can go all over the island. We're just in one little portion of the island right here. And
I don't get that.
A little bit cold that
what's
evening
that?
as well.
A ship outside? What is? Oh, that's the windmill.
Those are the windmills.
That's
and
the windmill.
we were afraid that we weren't going to. It was so dark, we didn't think that it would come out, either on film or on the videotape. But it did on both. I got some nice pictures, some still pictures too. Here's you see the blue, and this is so quaint and so nice. And of course, there's a little church right there that's right toward the entrance there of the harbor.
And boats,
naturally, because there's a lot of fishing going on here now.
We didn't see the pelican. I guess he'd gone to sleep for the night.
Just wait for a minute. What do you call that right there?
Well, you can't. Oh my goodness, I forgot. Well, you didn't see much of him.
No,
he just flipped.
It was pretty dark.
He just because I should have known you'd have gone out and find a bird somewhere.
Well, somebody pointed that out. Said, "Mario, you better get a picture of that bird."
Yeah, your reputation would have been ruined if you hadn't had a bird in one of our shows.
Okay, so now we're off to another island, and now we're getting on a tender, as you can see right here, because we're going to see the monastery. And this is the island of what? Do you remember, Betty?
Patmos.
Patmos, that's right. You get a name for the day.
Good. Put a star on my card, okay?
Yeah, right. This is the island of Patmos. And, of course, this is where John the Evangelist, or St. John, was here for many years and was in a cave up where the monastery is,
and wrote the Revelation, the book of Revelation.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
We're going to learn more about that, of course, on this.
This is going to be very revealing to us.
That's true, the book of Revelation. Anyway, we're going to listen to our guide in just a minute as soon as we get everybody together, and we're going to head up the hill and up to the monastery.
He stayed for 2 years, about 18 months. He was using the cave for his prayers and to arrest. Downstairs you will see 2 holes surrounded by silver ring. The one hole, the biggest hole, is where St. John the Theologian was putting his head, and one more small hole where when he wanted to get up, he was catching there and he was getting up. Because when he was here, he was 94 years old. He stayed for 2 years, and after 2 years, he went in Ephesus. in Ephesus. He died in age of 104, very old. Also, downstairs you will see the massive rock which open in 3 parts, and this produced from the power of God's voice, and separate the rock in 3 parts. These 3 parts symbolize the Holy Trinity, God, Jesus Christ, and Holy Spirit. That's why maybe you have seen Orthodox people make their cross with 3 fingers, with these 3 fingers, and we are doing our cross like this. Like this. It's a little different than the others. Also, you will see the massive rock, which is the rocky desk of Prochoros. Prochoros was his pupil, St. John's pupil, because he wasn't here alone, but he had with him a young man, his favorite student, Prochoros, and he was helping him to write or anything else. This cave in 96 was just an open cave, but nowadays you will see that it's a closed cave, because in 1088 came here a very good man, Saint Christodoulos, and refurbished this cave and made one chapel in your left hand. I will show you where is the cave, but you will understand where is the cave and where is the chapel of Saint Dan. In this chapel of Saint Dan, you will see that there is one very beautiful icon on your right hand. I will show you this icon, where is Virgin Mary, and she doesn't keeping Jesus Christ as always, but she is keeping Saint Dan. But if you go closer to this icon, you will see that Saint Dan is keeping one flower. This flower symbolizes that Jesus Christ is will born, will come to life. Right here is Saint John the Theologian with his pupil Prochoros in the cave, and right here you can see one hand. This hand is the hand of God. When it's the moment when the God tells the revelation to Saint John the Theologian.
As she refers to St. John as St. John the Theologian, and of course that may be a term that most of us are not familiar with all the time, because we just think of St. John. We're going to go down now into the cave, and the cave now, of course, has been converted into a chapel. In fact, when we were here 5 years ago, we were there on a Sunday, and they were having their liturgy at that time. Fortunately, today we're there on a non-Sunday, and so we did not interrupt the liturgy, because the guides take tours through right during as they're having their liturgy, and that didn't sit too well with me. So
that was a long way down,
yeah,
and they've painted that since we were there before with the, with the white again.
Very well.
But it was not that pristine as it seems to be this
The only
time.
problem is now, and we've noticed this, that now they don't let you take pictures in a lot of places where we were able to take pictures before. Now you're going to find this all over Europe. You can't take pictures.
Well, they want to sell their own postcards. That's why.
Well, maybe so. I don't know. Or their own.
Or their books
everybody's got their own
whatever.
DVD or their videotapes. That type of thing as well. But
what does that say, Marv?
It's all Greek to me. Anyway, this is inside. So from the outside, we were able to shoot a little bit of it, and that's where St. John
laid his head. Huh?
That's where he rested his head.
Yeah.
And so we were in there very briefly, and then out again and climbing back up. And there you can see the port here in Patmos, and it's really quite beautiful.
Isn't it beautiful?
Oh, it is. It just is. It's a very, very beautiful place, and the history too. The history of St. John here, and how many years he stayed, and how the book of Revelation was actually written, and of course, I think in my view. You hear so many people interpreting it sort of the way that they want to interpret it. But I think that we have to go back and interpret the book of Revelation as the church has given us the interpretation. I think today is probably one of the books that I think, in my way of thinking, that has probably been misinterpreted in a lot of ways.
I find it very difficult. For me, the Book of Revelation was all the symbols. Until you find out what the symbols represent, the numbers or the whatever the characters in, the animals or whatever. I don't know if there's animals, but I sure shied away from the Book of Revelation. It was frightening to me. I just
well, that's why I think you have to take a scholarly look at it, and most of us are not scholars on that. That's why I think you have to take the authority, which is the church, on that. And I mean, we've had scholars for 2,000 years that have been able to study the book of Revelation and study the original, the original writings, and then the translations. But I think I think there are a lot of people that sort of use it to their own, to their own benefit. Anyway, I didn't mean to really get into that, but it's one of the things that sometimes is a little bit confusing to a lot of people. Now, there is an active monastery here, and we're going to go on up to that. This is it's a beautiful place. There's also a treasury in here where you cannot take pictures again, and they just have some absolutely gorgeous things here. And of course, there are little shops along the way.
Always.
And, yes, and I did find a great big platter that I just had to have, and I bought that sucker and carried it all over Greece. And on the airplane, coming back, I was scared to death it was going to get broken, but it didn't.
It didn't, and now it's going to be a wonderful memento of your
really
trip
is.
there.
Yeah. There were two things I wanted when I went to. I wanted a big platter, and I also wanted a tablecloth, which you got on the island of Rhodes.
Yeah.
And probably made in Japan. I'm not sure. China,
No,
sure.
the gals were there doing embroidery and stuff on that. No, come on.
I'm not so
But
sure
no,
of that. Anyway, it doesn't make any
Marvin.
difference anyway. It's the thing that you picked up there and give you the momentum there, a memento of that. These paintings are centuries and centuries old here in this monastery. And the monastery is a wonderful, wonderful place to visit. Instead of ringing bells, they have like either a piece of wood or a piece of metal.
Well, what's that?
That's a bell.
I thought so.
But, yeah,
what are you
but
talking?
those are
what
rung
are you
for
saying?
different times.
Oh, okay.
But,
You're talking about inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, here you can see. Now, you'd have to study a lot of this because, like you say, Betty, if you didn't have a guide, you really wouldn't know what all these paintings are about. Now, and again, you cannot take pictures now in the sanctuary itself, which is rather small. There are two sanctuaries that are inside, two small chapels that are inside the building itself. And so, again, you can't take pictures there, unfortunately. But these pictures, or these paintings that are here, have been here, of course, for centuries.
Yeah,
And
they need restoration, though. Look at them.
Yeah, they
they're
do.
fading. They really need it badly to bring out the colors and the
well, you can see over a period of time that
maybe they don't have
it's
enough
going to take
money,
its
huh?
toll
Yeah.
on some of these that are on the outside. But I will say those on the inside are really magnificent because they have not been exposed to the weather. But to really study these and to really take a look at it, to see the various saints that are here and the various stories that they tell. Our guide gave us a big explanation on that, but we just don't have enough time in the show to go through all of that today.
I think that the artistry that was prevalent at that time is something to be marveled at. They didn't have the equipment. They didn't have the magnificent brushes that we have today, the sables and even to get the colors, the pigmentation. It took so much work and searching for the plants that would produce the
And you
paints.
can figure here they are on an island, and so it'd be even more restrictive, perhaps, in trying to get materials for that as well. Yeah. But it's just a beautiful, beautiful monastery.
1738.
There are so many monasteries all over Greece, and of course some will not admit women even as visitors to it, and they are very, very selective in only letting certain people visit there. But this one did happen to be open, and that's the well right there. And remember, we're way up on top of a hill right now. We're way on top of a hill.
Water's important, you see.
And it's beautiful. Now, there is a big room right here, and there's at one end of it you're going to see a trough. Now that trough right there was
Bathtub.
for kneading the dough for the bread for the monastery. Can you believe that? I
Yeah.
mean, that's like 2 big bathtubs, you know. Those guys must have eaten an awful lot of bread.
Well, they probably didn't have a lot of other things to eat. They would the ground doesn't look like it was good enough for a lot of vegetables and stuff. So bread is a wonderful sustenance
Right.
for people.
There was a big oven on the other side of
yeah.
that. Then on the other side of that, there is the treasury again, which now
There's
you
the 3 golden arches.
can't-
Did
the
you
golden arches.
Everywhere you go, you see the golden
we
arches.
we saw them in Greece as
Yeah.
well. That's true. But this is a beautiful monastery, and is one that that should be visited if you have the opportunity to. Do you remember the story of I can't, oh boy, I can't remember it right now. I'll try and remember that on
the
another
archaeologist? Is it an
show.
archaeologist?
No. This is when the guy, the magician, who was trying to.
Forget it.
Well, forget it. Yeah,
You did. What did it mean for you? You did.
I did forget it. Yeah.
Father Patrick McCorrick from the Diocese of Fresno, California, and my name is Father Kyle Walterscheid, and we have a group I am from the Diocese of Fort Worth and Texas. So we got Texas meet California, California and Texas. And just in a moment of gathering, Father Pat and myself found and discovered we have a mutual friend, Father Mark Landers in California. I went through the seminary with Father Mark, and it's just typical of the Catholic Church, where you meet one priest. We're only one person away from knowing a whole nother parish, a whole nother diocese, and it's just the awesomeness of the Universal Church.
You know, we noticed we just came from Patmos, and John came there, and we know that he came there because he was being sent by the emperor as a punishment. But yet, all that he goes through is just what he is to go through. He spends time writing there the book of Revelations, and it goes out to all the neighboring churches in the area, and he is only doing what he is supposed to do. Maybe then we should ask ourselves in our own lives and what we are about, what are we supposed to do? What's our relationship with the person of Jesus, and what is he calling you and me to do every day? It's really oftentimes nothing spectacular. It is just to be who we are, living the gospel message and bringing that message to others in wherever we live, wherever we play, wherever we work. Our call is to bring the message of peace and love and mercy to a world in which we live. So we don't have to be somebodies. All we have to be is a body willing to do the Lord's work. And so it takes then humility, just as John, I think, had great humility to move about these waters and share the gospel message. He had great humility just to say, Lord, wherever these ways will take me, I will go. Wherever the wind will push me, I will go. I will be your servant. I will declare your word before all. Let us pray then that we be as open and also as humble as John, so that we might bring his word, the Lord's word, to this world in which we live, as did John in his day.
Well, it was wonderful that we were able to celebrate Mass here on the ship with the 2 priests, and we're very, very fortunate that not only Monsignor was with us, but then the other priest from Texas was there with his group, and they were very, very nice people.
Well, we do that on all of our trips. That's why we bring a priest, to make it Mass available for our Catholic people. That is not mandatory, you go if you want to go, but it's there, and it's a lovely, reassuring thought for our people that are traveling.
Well, it brings to life, when we're following in the footsteps of St. Paul, it brings that all to life. Well, now you're looking at not Greece, but Turkey. And if you don't think that some of these port cities in Turkey have grown, well, all you have to do is take a look right here. I mean, because we're going to go to Ephesus, which is a ways from the port city of Kasdushi, where we are now.
What?
Kasdushi.
Oh, that sounds good.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
I don't know if I said it right, but we'll listen to our guide
I
in
just
just
say
a little bit.
Kasdushi.
That's not right.
That's
though.
not right?
No,
Oh,
that's
that's all
not
right. I'm wrong
That's
all
not
the
right.
time a lot. I'm wrong all the time. All the
That's
time
what
a
it looks
lot,
like when
huh?
you spell it,
Yeah,
out
yeah.
of the thing. I know. But, you got to go something like that.
Like Thessalonica. Or not Thessalonica like we
No,
say.
Thessaloniki.
Yeah, Niki.
Yeah, Thessaloniki. Right. So that could get a little confusing. Anyway, the boat is being tied up here to the dock, and we're going to get off and walk down to where we have a bus waiting for us.
This is what I like to watch. Just
Yeah,
lean over the rail
yeah.
and watch the expertise of these men that get out and jump out and put the rope around to make
Right.
sure we're tight there.
There's a fortification here at the entrance to this port, which is also centuries old as well. And now, I think at one time it was an island, but they've sort of made a causeway so that you can, probably drive a car out there as well. We did not visit this particular one. I think our guide may tell us a little bit about this as we are now in the bus, and we're going to head out toward an area that has really grown, and that is Ephesus. And going out there, Betty, we were just surprised because all of the things that we see now, the new developments that are out there, not only housing but also the recreational areas, are just absolutely incredible. But it's to be expected because this is also a vacation spot as well. It was a tiny fishing village for many, many years, and now it's grown into a big vacation area, and it's become a very, very big business for the Turkish people right here.
I loved Turkey. That was one of my favorite trips.
Yeah. Oh, when we went to the interior of Turkey?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was fabulous. But this was really great that we were able to stop here and to visit Ephesus as well, because this is always a big, big highlight. Well, Betty, we're on the bus right now, and we're going to head out for our next program, which will be, of course, in Ephesus, and we know that you're going to enjoy that. That's it for this time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.